Hello and welcome to this presentation on GoAnywhere agents. Now I've called it sleeper agents because a lot of people know that there are agents with GoAnywhere, but perhaps not everybody understands what they are and what they can do. So introductions first, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sam Fry and I'm one of the senior technical consultants at Protocol. In about 4 months' time, I will be celebrating my 4th anniversary at Protocol. I've been in the IT application development and design space for over 3 decades now. Shocking, I'm sure, that you're all thinking, how can that be? But yes, so one little fact about me that I will share with you is obviously being of a certain age, you'll never find me too far away from my Rubik's Cube. So I've always had one on my desk at work throughout the work career that I've had, and I kind of use it as a stress relief tool just to refocus on something else when things are maybe a bit manic or it's quite a stressful day. So lately it's been extremely busy at Protocol, so I'm averaging about 10 cubes a day. So let's get on to business. What are GoAnywhere remote agents? Well, they're lightweight applications that are linked to GoAnywhere. So they're kind of a bit like a mini-me for GoAnywhere. They can enable secure transactions to or from remote domains that maybe aren't allowed or able to be connected directly to your main GoAnywhere hub. Now I said they were a mini-me, so they have a lot of the functionality in terms of workflow tasks of the main hub, but not quite all of the set. So, but there are 60 plus unique workflow tasks. There are also agent monitors and agent schedules. So pretty much everything that you'd want to do on an agent is available. Now, one thing to mention is that agents don't actually have a separate user interface. They are installed with a installer file, and everything is configured and administered via your central hub. Now, agents can also be installed on basically any platform. So they can be on Linux, they can run on remote local domains, laptops, hybrid cloud environments like AWS, Azure. It can really run anywhere. So they're quite flexible in terms of how you can deploy them in an organization. So I've alluded to some of this already, but why would you use an agent? Well, if you've got trading partners or external clients and perhaps they don't want you to connect directly to one of their servers, an SFTP server, or perhaps it's just not possible to do that, then you can deploy agents on their sites. You can securely share data across distributed organizations. So if you're in an organization that has lots of different offices or branches, obviously the agents deployed at those sites is an ideal way of being able to use your main GoAnywhere application to distribute data to all those remote sites. The other thing that's really valuable about agents, or about doing it through a GoAnywhere agent, is that all of the transfers, all of the activity on the agents is consolidated up into the auditing and reporting in the main GoAnywhere application. So you have a total view of everything, even those transfers at these remote sites or remote locations. So I've said it's a secure connection. Well, how is that secured? Well, the connection is encrypted via SSL. So what effectively happens is there's a secure multi-step authentication that happens over a dedicated port, the default port being 8009 for agents. What the installer does when it's installed on the agent is it provides a unique server X509 certificate and a registration code. Now this must match the registration code that's been set up in your main hub. When your agent is up and running, so when it's been registered and when the service is switched on the machine, upon approval, the server will issue a client certificate and it will send that back to the agent. So you've got a client and a server certificate, and that creates a secure tunnel between the two machines. And that's how it's a secure transaction. So there are actually two flavours of agent. There's standard agents and there are advanced agents. Now you can see from the list on the left that it's all of the things that you would expect from workflows. So you've got zipping, you've got database integration, PGP encryption, you can send email alerts, same as in the main application. You can have monitors, can have schedulers on your agents. But the benefit obviously being it's all centrally reported in the main hub. Now that's your standard agent, but you can also have an advanced agent. Obviously advanced agents have everything that's on the left, but also allow you to have a resource on your agent that is an SFTP server. So standard agents, you can link network shares, databases, other things. But if you want to actually link to an SFTP server, then you would need to have an advanced agent. The other two things that advanced agents bring along is that you can also run native SSH commands, and you can also do things with APIs, so like REST and SOAP. So those additional capabilities come with the advanced agent. So let's look at the first example. We're going to see that in a little demonstration after this, but I just wanted to introduce the project so that you can see what's actually going on. So this example, we're going to look at taking data from the main hub and distributing it through agents. Now, on the right-hand side of this diagram, you'll see there's two SQL Server tables. One of them contains the agent name and path, and the other one contains the agent name and some location codes that we want to match, so that will exist in some file names in a file set. Now, the other option, obviously, is to take data that's out in your remote sites and bring it up into the main hub and then transfer onward processing, maybe even to other external clients. So, as I said before, there are monitors on the agent. So on the left-hand side at the top, you'll see that's an agent monitor. Looks exactly the same as one monitor that might be running in your central hub. On the project tab, so just along to the right on the screen, you'll see that with an agent monitor, you actually have two types of action. You can run an agent project from an agent monitor, or you can actually run a top-level MFT project from your central hub. So you can have an agent monitor on the agent that starts the project, but it doesn't have to just run a local agent project. It can run a centralized project as well, and that's what we're going to be doing. So that would be our second example. So we'll have one that distributes down and we'll have one that picks data up. So a few real world use cases. So we have customers in all three of these occupations, if you like, industries. So we have retail clients that have agents in lots of their remote sites, their offices or branches. We have customers in the healthcare arena that also need to have agents to transfer files, maybe through pharmacies or partners, and they do that with the agents. And the other big use case, and we have customers in the insurance industry who use agents in order to disseminate information. So there's a little demo that we're going to do now that I recorded earlier. So I'm going to attempt to talk over the demo. Now I did leave some pauses, so I'm going to try and remember where I left some pauses. So we're going to have two projects. So we're going to investigate, as I said, up and down. Now I have two agents online in my system. So we're going to look at those two agents now. So there they are, Sam Demo and Agent 2. They're both online. Now for purposes of this demonstration, they're both on my laptop, just because that's easier for me to show you. So these are the two root directories. That's Agent 1's root path, and that's Agent 2. And there's nothing in there at the moment, so they're empty. What we're going to do is we're going to run this top level MFT project, and then that's going to do the distribution onto the agents. So we'll have a little look at the project now. So this is the project that we're going to run. And it's slightly different from the one that's in the picture because it's been embellished slightly to have a little bit more logic. So I used to run this with some CSV files, but I'm now running it with SQL queries because it's more reflective of real world dynamic data to be extracted from a database rather than a file. So here you'll see the first queries taking the agent list information, which is the agent name, and the path, the route path for the agent. So that's our first row set that we're going to be bringing into this project, and we're going to be looping through it. Now the second set, and it's the same as it was in the slide before, has again the agent name, but it also has some location codes next to that agent. And these location codes are effectively part of a file name. So file names will have this code in if they are relevant to that location. So we'll be looking at which locations need to go to which agents in effect. So we're going to set some variables. So we're going to set a default agent path from one of our files. So there's an outer loop, and the outer loop is going through the agent and route path table. And then within that, we're going to loop through. Once we've matched an agent, we're going to loop through and see which locations are relevant to that agent so that we can just copy the relevant files to that agent or to that group of agents, actually, because you could have more than one. So we're setting variables for location. So the location code is obviously coming out of the second file, so the in loop that we're doing, so that we can dynamically transfer to lots of different agents and different locations. So everything is using variables here. The agent path's a variable, the location code's a variable. So once we found a match and we know that we've got an agent and a valid location, we're creating a file set. And we're looking where these source files are actually sitting on the main server or one of the main server's resources. And we're going to match that file set to the current location, that's the location that's in the loop where we currently are. Now, I just added a little bit of extra logic, which says if the location doesn't pick up any files, then we're not going to do anything. We're going to leave the data exactly where it is. But if we do find a new set of data, we're going to do some certain things with it. We're going to move the data that's currently in the current directory, if there is any, into previous, and we're going to put the new data into current. But if there are no new files for a certain location, we're just going to leave the data that's already in current, because we don't have any newer information. So effectively, that's current until something else comes along. So you'll see it's all very parameterized, very flexible in terms of all of the logic that we've got in this project. So again, that's if there are files, it's going to transfer them, it's going to loop through them, and it's going to use the variables to move them to the relevant agents. So that's our project, really. So we'd really want to have a little execute of that project. Well, I have a set of files, and it's going to be matching on these little location codes, which is really just, in this case, it's a string in the file name, which is loc, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to execute that. And when I recorded this, my server was having a bit of a difficult day, so it was taking an awful long time. So we'll just sit here and wait for it to run. So it's looping through, it's taken those data mapping files from SQL, it's finding matches within the two loops, and then it's using another loop to go and put the relevant files onto the relevant agents. So we saw the route paths before and they were empty. So now they're not empty anymore. So if we look at the first agent, we'll see that the route path is looping. So it's route looping. And you'll see now we've got these locations. So it's got a subset of locations 1 to 10 because there are only certain locations that are valid for this agent. And you'll see those files have gone in to the directories relevant to the code that's in the file. You'll also note, so this is the second server, and there's also the loc2, so location 2 is actually being sent to both of these agents. So it doesn't have to be unique. They can repeat. There may be reasons why you want more than one agent to have the file. And you'll see that the date on all of this is the 24th of April. So that's our older files, shall we say, for the purposes of this demo. So you can see that they've all been generated with the 24th of April. Now we're going to kind of mimic being a new day and some more updated or newer files. So I'm just going to run this little project in the background, and effectively that's going to replace the source file set with some files with a newer date. So we're pretending that we're on another day and there's updated information. So we're going to rerun our agent looping generic project so that we can see what's been put into current and what's been put into previous, because we're moving the current into previous if there is new current. If there isn't new current, we're leaving it there. So just want to show you what happens at this point. So now we should have mostly populated files in both the current and the previous directory. Now we're skipping over lock 1 for a minute because I've deliberately not put any new data in there, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So there's our current, and you'll see there's our previous, 24th of April in the previous and the 30th of April in the current. So we'll have a look on the other agent and we'll see there. So we've got locations, again we've got lock 2. In the current we've got the newer file with the date of the 30th of April, and in the previous we've got the date of the 24th, which was the previous current. Now I deliberately on the first agent not put any updated data in for lock 1. So this agent still has the older file sat in current because we have no more current information. So if we didn't do that, then it would move these files to previous and it would all just have nothing in current. So we'd just kind of lose track of what was what. So obviously I've just done that. That's my logic I've decided to do. So that's our project. Now, that's taking data from a main source and dynamically distributing it in a very flexible data-driven way. The other option is to take data from your remote sites and to bring it up through your agent. So here on the agent manager, we have an agent monitor, and it looks very much like any other monitor at the top level, but this is actually pointing at a root directory on this agent. And you'll see there's 4 files there. So those are the files that potentially we're going to pick up when we switch the monitor on, when we make it active. So we're going to have a little look at the project tab here. So you'll see there's an extra field on a agent monitor, which allows you to say this agent monitor is going to run an agent project, or this agent monitor is going to run a top level MFT project. So you can have a monitor on an agent looking at its resources that still runs a consolidated centralized project. You don't have to run a localized agent project and then pick that up separately in another flow. You can do it all in one go. So we've set that to active now, and it should pick up those 4 files, and the centralized project will run. Now, I remember when I was looking at this, there was a little bit of a pause here because I was not concentrated to see if it had already run. Now, it's actually already executed. So in a minute, we will see that we'll go to the audit log and we'll just have a look at the jobs that have completed, just to be sure. So we're going to exit out of here and we're going to go back to the reporting and the audit logs and just see, and it's actually run twice. By the time we get to the audit logs, it's actually had 2 runs. So you'll see there they are at the top. So we would be expecting to see in this centralized system somewhere on the server or somewhere on one of its resources those 4 files. So we're just going to navigate now to those 4 files, which are a few levels up from where we were under documents and agent files. So we're going to get there in a minute. And there we can see those are the 4 files that have been copied from the agent by the centralized MFT project. And then obviously put into the directory. Now, I'm not deleting these files. Obviously, in the real world, you'd probably be deleting them, but obviously because I've been running this a lot for the presentation, that would be too much hard work putting them back each time. So I haven't been deleting them. So that's 2 examples of the project, really. Coming from GoAnywhere and going down to the agents to be distributed, and obviously taking one specific agent with a monitor and bringing data up from that remote site. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to hearing your questions, and there will be a question and answer session later with Richard from our technical team, our principal consultant. Thank you very much.